2. What's up, guys? This is Ed Gregory from photosincolor.com. I didn't even realize I was just live right now. This is the PIC Live show, Photos in Color Live, where I sit here and look at your photographs, review them for the current week's challenge and theme. This week's theme was water, so that's what we're going to take a look at this week. Okie dokie, so we're actually live on Facebook as well right now. Head over to YouTube. At the moment, the link's in the thing here, and you can check it all out. I don't even know what I'm saying. So somebody just wrote that the link was not, the live video was stopped. There was an error. Okay, I'll quit that. Don't know what happened there. Okay, so somebody just said that the link for the uploads was not posted this week. Now, we changed it last week, so we're no longer posting the video right in the directly after it for a 1-week upload period. What's happening is it goes live on a Monday, and all you have to do to get that link is go to photosincolor.com/live. That is where the link will appear. Okay, so then the other thing we need to do is next week's theme, which I have on my phone, but I haven't actually posted. Rosie, could you just post the thing? We have the themes. You are able to vote on the theme. We're going to put it on the Instagram story right now. Next week's theme is a little bit interesting, actually. We're switching things up. The two options are either winter, so anything with a wintry theme whatsoever, or the other one is your favorite photo by another photographer. So that means any photograph, maybe it inspires you, or it's really helped you work, or you just like their work to look at. Go find that person and upload one of their photographs. But this is what's really important with this. If this one does win, you're going to have to put their name in the description, because your name and their name, because I want to make sure that I give a shout out to whoever they are. Maybe they're a famous artist. Maybe it's just your friend. Anyway, so head over to photosincolor.com. Are we live on Instagram? Not yet. We're about to be live on Instagram. Photos in Color on Instagram, and it's in the story just there. Okay, so this week's theme was in fact water. That's what you voted on. You've been uploading your photographs for the last 24 hours. And as always, we have had wonderful amount of people uploading. So why not jump into Lightroom and let's take a look at all of your photographs. So starting just here, this one was sent in by, let me hit the right button here, Naveen. Oh, really? This is the first name of the week? If you're just tuning in, you don't usually. Everyone laughs at how poor I am at this. Naveen Yudhayakumaran. There you go. Theme water. We do, in fact, have water in this photograph. I like the photograph. Very warm. Which, you know what, I don't kind of mind. The only issue that I have here is I love all these warm oranges, but this building is yellow in the front. Now, I don't know if it was originally yellow or maybe it was white. And actually, there's some white trucks here. So what I would do is jump over to the develop module, and I'd use the eyedropper tool here, and I'm going to click on the white truck. And you can see straight away it's no longer as warm because now the white balance is correct. And if we look at the before and after, I actually prefer it with the correct white balance. You can always go back in and kind of lift that temperature up a hair and just warm it back up for feeling, but that's it. I like the reflection. I like everything that's in there. I personally would probably have cropped out that one light on the side because it kind of didn't fit in. It was too white. Outside of that, I think it's a really great job. I love the reflections. What you could have done was go for a longer shutter speed, and then all of these ripples in the water would have got smoothed out and it would have looked like a beautiful watercolor painting. But overall, technically, this is a really great photograph. So nice work. Let's keep on going. Pontus Ekaroth. Wow. PIC. Guys, I still don't know why I pick photographs or what I do with them, but I just pick them to say that I love them. Is this a real photo or is this a composite? What do we think? I've got a feeling this might be a composite. So two images placed onto each other. But I also don't know. Icarus? No. Pontus? Are you here? Can you tell me, is this a real place? If it is, it looks amazing. And who dare walk into that water? Striking image, beautifully taken. I actually like the warm colors back here. I would probably boost the saturation of the oranges and the yellows. So basically where we have the oranges and yellows, if you look at the before and the after, what I've done is I've just brought those colors out that little bit more. That's all I've done. Outside of that, I think this is a wonderful, the composition is fantastic. And if you have done this as a composite, you've done a great job because you've even got your focus and in focus and out of focus areas perfect. This is wonderful. A nice slow shutter speed, which is how you've got this effect I just spoke about from the last one where the water kind of has no ripples in it. It's just smooth. But it looks like there was texture on the lake. But let's see. How long was the shutter speed? What are we guessing? I'm going to guess for 1.5 seconds. That's my guess. We were 30 seconds? Wow, so that is a very long exposure on this. And I don't think it's a composite either. I think it was real. So nice work. I love that. Congratulations. Let's keep on looking here. Oh, slow shutter speed. That's 1/15 of a second. In fact, I'm just going to bring up this because this way, watch. Bonk. Now you can see where my mouse is. David Collette, you're here every week. Is it Colette or is it Colette? Who knows? Great use of capturing energy. That is what you've done here. You have captured a massive amount of energy coming from the waves exploding into the beach. I'd have liked the photograph to be a little bit wider because we're a little tight in on the waves. But outside of that, I think it's really nice. The green moss, I can't make my mind up if that's if it adds to the photo or takes away. So I'm going to try getting rid of the saturation of the moss. I think it was needed, is what I discovered. So that's the thing with editing, it's trial and error. You don't always know, but what I would do is in the yellows, I would pull down the yellows a little bit like so, just so it wasn't quite as crazy. Great use of the shutter speed, and you've really nailed your exposure, which is hard shooting in daylight with a longer shutter speed, like 1/15 of a second. So you've gone up to f20. Absolutely amazing work. Congratulations, David. Okay, Karim Nabi. Let's talk about this for a moment. What you've got here is a shutter speed which isn't fast enough, although the water's pretty sharp, actually. So maybe your shutter speed was fast enough, and actually the problem that you've got, we don't have the EXIF data, unfortunately, but the image just isn't in focus. So obviously there's a lot of action, and your camera is probably jumping around with focus all over the place trying to make it happen. The best way to do it, sit yourself down and get yourself in a static area, figure out where the action's going to be, focus on that distance away, then when the subject hits that focal point, then you can take the photograph, keeping everything nice and sharp. Outside of that, I think it's just a little bit tight, but we're showing the energy, which is really great. Oh, okay, so a few things with this. I can see that it's a beautiful river that's coming down. There's this waterfall here, which might even be a weir. I really hope I got that word right. A weir, W-E-E-R-E. W-E-I-R, I don't know. But basically it's something which is a waterfall. It slows water down, creates pools, but it allows the river to flow nice and smoothly. Actually, I think it's a waterfall. But either way, I think it's got a slightly longer shutter speed. 1/160th, yes, that's how we've got these blurs. But what I would have done here, you've got an f7, right? I'd have changed that and gone f16, f20, f22. So that then what you could have done is got your shutter speed down to, half a second. All of that water would have beautifully blurred out, and you've got this really beautifully effective image of the water pouring over those rocks. Also, because of maybe it's the shot or whatever, we've got a few issues in the foreground here, which usually I like, but there's just not enough of it. And also we don't have any horizon. So what I would have done here is crouch down lower. I wouldn't have tried to hide these foreground elements. I'd have shot through them and I got a little bit of the sky in there as well. Okay, Amy likes this here, long shutter speed. We're at 1/4 of a second, and that's how we've got these beautiful lines of water. Now, the challenge with this photograph is there's no color. Maybe that's because it's a black and white. But if it is a black and white, make it black and white. Make your blacks black and your whites white. There you go. See, Rosie's even saying it now. So now this has a little bit more interest, but again, there's not enough going on in this photograph for it to actually have an interest. It's a great example of how to blur water, but I think you need it to be a little bit more dynamic in your style of photography and definitely in where you are standing and your framing of your photograph. Your composition is what needed some work. Okay, look at this. Giuseppe Salvini, you tune in often. Now this is very hard to do. It's a simple idea, but actually very hard to do because what we've got here, nice wide angle lens, we've got the waves coming in here, we've got the nice blurs of the water, and we've got the crisp rocks. So how do we do that? Well, the camera has to be locked off on a tripod. Ideally, we don't want to have much movement in the clouds. So a still day in terms of wind is really great, unless you want to have those blurred clouds as well. And then what you've got to do is choose a shutter speed that doesn't completely ruin your waves, but it does blur out the foreground. And that's hard because choosing the time to take the photograph in the wave to make it present as opposed to just a big smooth mess, that's where the technique comes in. And Giuseppe has done a wonderful job of this. One thing that I think overall the image is a little bit dark. I would want to lift up my shadows. Maybe not quite that much. Lift up my shadows, but pull back my darks. Now, why would you lift up your shadows and pull back your darks? Because that gives a little bit more interest to the rocks, but it doesn't lose the contrast, so you can bring your darks back, so that way it keeps a little bit of interest. Now, for me, I've gone way too far with that. For me, that's just brought this image a little bit alive. It's a little bit dark for me. But overall, fantastic work. Nice work, Giuseppe. Water, Oliver Heidel. You're here every week. Thank you for tuning in, Oliver. I appreciate it. This is a nice cityscape. I like the composition. If we bring on our crops, we can see the rule of thirds. We've got all the action smack bang in the middle here, and the bridge is in that center spot as well. I like it. I just think it's a little bit simple. I just don't think that there's that much going on. It becomes a little bit of a snapshot when you take photos like this. The lens isn't wide enough. And so we can see this when we look inside the EXIF data, so the information up here. We're at 21 millimeters, so it's wide, but it's not really wide. And then your f-stop, you're neither shallow, you're not shallow at like an f2.8 or an f1.8, and you're also not got a nice f22, so you could blur out the water. You're sitting in the middle. All of your settings are smack bang in the middle, which is a very safe photograph, but it means that we don't have that exciting information that you would really want. So a way around that, something like this, snap it into black and white, okay? And then what I would do here is increase your contrast a little bit, and look what we can do because there's so much blue in this image. You can actually start messing around with the blues because the blue slider here. And if I bring this down, I'm going to show you here. If I bring down the blues, the greens, and the magentas, like so, instantly, this photograph now, although we've introduced a lot of noise into the image, I kind of don't mind. And let's see if we bring up the highlights of the grasses here. So you see what I'm doing here is I'm editing color within black and white. And if we look at the before, it's a simple image, not much going on. Black and white, now we've added this drama. And if we crop this in, watch what happens if we crop this just outside here and here of the reflection of the buildings, and we make sure we don't crop off this top one here. Let's extend it down a little bit. And now look what happens. Now we've got a very exciting cityscape. And that there just instantly has I've just cropped that image a little bit too much, actually, unfortunately. I got rid of the reflection. Now this image is way more exciting just by converting it to black and white and using those edits. Okay, let's come back to me for a moment. Check this out. You can contact me during this live show. All you have to do is go into the little, is it at the bottom or the side? I don't know, the side here. The chat box, is that this side? This way now, I'm right now. Yeah. This way, and you write, and Rosie, who's here, can we show a picture of Rosie, because she's awesome. She's here reading all of those comments, and she's going to ask me those questions, and I'll answer them live during the show, which is exciting. Okay, Instagram, did we do it? Yeah. Where are we at? Let's have a look and see where we're at with Instagram. All you got to do is go to the story.
Yes, and people can also go review your photo.
Oh, I forgot about that. So what else can you do? You head over to Instagram. What's the percentage?
Winter is 74.
Winter is 74.
Photo is 26.
Okay, so 74% of people are currently voting on your best winter photograph as opposed to choosing somebody that inspires you. Not a problem. Let's see where it goes by the end of the show. Remember, this week I've also finally got into, I have uploaded a photograph to Instagram. You can go and comment on that. This photograph was actually taken 7 years ago when I was diving in the cenotes in Mexico, cave diving as a scuba diver. And I thought I'd upload that because it's water, because that's pretty fun. What else? Did we have any questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple.
Oh, we've got questions. Let's do question time. Question time.
I'm going to put two into one question because they're kind of similar. Mm-hmm. So this is from Helen Jenkins Knight.
Helen Jenkins, welcome back.
And then I'll put John's in afterwards. What's Ed's favourite type of photography? I'm going to guess travel, but might be to take photos of you, Rosie, with a wink face.
Okay, what's my favourite type of photography?
Wait.
Oh,
and
sorry.
Then John has said, what inspired Ed to start with photography? So you could link them together.
Now let's do this together. What do I most like taking photos of? If I'm just going to take photographs, I do like, I wouldn't say travel photography, but photography while you're out and about. So ones with people in it. And basically my all-time favorite is if there is a subject, a person in it. That is my favorite. If Rosie's in it, I love that. What are we laughing at?
Me, I'm looking at myself in the camera.
Oh, Rosie's freaking herself out by the camera right now. So yeah, I like taking photographs of people. Obviously my favorite subject of all time is photographs of Rosie because she's just perfect. But yeah, I also like to balance light. That's something which I love to do. So that would be taking a strobe and taking it outside with me. One of my all-time favorite things to do is that right there. And what inspired me was that. What inspired me was I got into photography years ago. Actually, when I was younger, I was a classically trained ballet dancer, if you didn't know that. And I studied acting and theatre, and I was into all of that world. And for my 18th birthday, my mum and dad said, "What do you want?" And I said, I would like a camera. And I wanted a film camera, just because I was into the arts and I was into the visual side of things, and I wanted to capture things using a camera, but I wanted a good camera. But I didn't want to shoot DSLR because that was however many years ago, and they were around, but I kind of decided I wanted to shoot film. So I got a Nikon F55, and I shot with that for a few years, and I took my grandmother, bless her soul, my Nanan, she passed away last week. Oh, I love you, Nanan. She, I didn't think I was going to say that. Oh. She gave me her slide projector that her and my granddad would use in the house all the time. And I went around taking photographs on slide, and then I'd put them into the slide projector and project them outside of the window onto another building. That was my all-time favorite thing to do and inspired me to learn light and how does it work. And then the other inspiration was, at first I sucked. That's what inspired me. I would take photographs and be like, that's really bad. So then I practiced and really got into photography. I hope that helped. So let's jump back in and let's do some more reviewing of your awesome photographs. What do we got here? Ray's comment there. What do we have here? Water. Ricardus Andriska. I'm so sorry. Again, a nice slow shutter speed. We've got it locked off on a tripod. That's how every other element is sharp. I actually think this is a really fantastic job. And what my favorite thing about this is the color grade. What you did in your edit was you got rid of all other colors and you left in the blues and the browns. Or probably what you did is you went down to the HSL, hue, saturation, and luminance panel, which is just here. And probably what you did is you moved around the hue section. So if I show you what happens, you see you can change the hue of things. And you put it all within that warm brown tone. Now the only challenge that that you have with this is the snow is a little blue as opposed to white, and over here your snow is now matched your colors up here. How can you actually get around that? Well, I'll show you some things that might work or might not. If you take the white balance and you white balance on the snow, what's going to happen is you can see it's balanced the white, but then it's blown everything else out to the incorrect color. So I wouldn't do that. What you can actually do, take the brush tool, double click on effect to reset it back to 0, and then you take down your saturation and you knock it down by about 70%. Okay, and what you can do, I've got this, what you can do here, I'm going to do a very quick job of this, but you whip around where the snow is. And what you can see is I've actually got rid, I'm actually going to turn on auto mask, because if I start with something that's white, it will only do the whites. There you go, and you can see very quickly what I've done there is I've basically got rid of the saturation on the snow. And if you look at the before and the after, the snow now has lost that blue tone and it now is more of a pure white. So that's what I would do there. Overall, it's nice. The only thing that I have though is the river as it goes by, I can't see where it's coming from or going to. I'm gonna sneeze. Thank you. Woo! It came from nowhere. If you have water running, it's always great to see where it's come from or going to, as opposed to shooting across it. It tells more of a story. Guys, if you've been around my live show or you've been watching my videos for long enough, you know that I love storytelling in photography. But outside of that, great work. What do we got here? This is water. Looks like cold, icy water at sunset. So I love the reflection of the water. There's a few things that I don't know that I love. One is this big blob on the left-hand side. I don't know that it adds anything to the photograph at all. So you wouldn't want to crop it this much, but I would have, in camera, I would have reframed it to be something more like this, because now it's a little bit more interesting, and that would have allowed me to get a lot more of the river or lake or whatever this is up the side here. The other thing is, because it's sunset, what if you got really low and shot across the water and actually got the sun in the shot as well? That you wouldn't have to do that. That's just an idea, a different perspective. Maybe you did that as well. I like this. It's almost abstract in feeling. So great work, Samuel. And you've really nailed your exposure, which is quite hard to do with reflections because often the highlights just get completely blown out. Let's keep on going. Whoa, look at this. This is a water balloon, which they've fired an arrow through to make it explode and then captured the shape of the balloon still with all of the explosions. Now, there's two things here. One, great job to it's very hard to capture that moment. You don't want to capture it too soon and just have the water sitting there. You want some level of explosion. But if you were a moment behind that, obviously the water would have exploded too much and you wouldn't have the shape. The challenge with this is we've missed the edge of the arrow, which is a shame. I wish that we had that. But you need a wider shot for this. And then secondly, it's just not that exciting. It's just on a black background. It's more of a technical example of how to photograph water, as opposed to a very interesting image. So it's a great test. I'm sure it was a really fun project to do, but I think you could have done something slightly more interesting with it. And then the other thing, which you couldn't have got around, but using flashes, which is how we've captured it, you can see there is some blur. The reason why we have some blur is your sync speed with your flashes was 1/200th of a second. Really, to freeze action, you want to be above 1,000th of a second, if not 2,000ths of a second. but that would mean you'd have to use different flashes with a different sync speed. Okay. In fact, I did a video about high-speed photography. Could we search that on YouTube? Let's come back to me for a minute. I'm going to talk about this. I did a photograph on high-speed photography where I went outside with a camera and some glasses and filled it up with stuff and then made them explode. How did I do it? I tied a rock onto the end of a piece of string and swung it around my head until it smashed the glass while having my hand on the camera. So I was like this, and then I would smash it and take the photograph at the same time. It was a bit of a catastrophe, and a few times the rock nearly swung into and shattered my lens. It was very close. I made this video how many years ago? Like literally the 4th video on my YouTube channel. I don't know if we can find it.
Constant need to film.
I think we found. We're going to play a little bit of it for you. Yeah, let's watch a little bit of this. So that's my how-to and how I went and made some photographs just like John Smith, who was our featured artist yesterday. So you can see there at the end of that shot, I'm super overexposed. That's when I was starting YouTube and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was having a lot of fun with it. So go and watch that video. We'll try and post it actually in the description below. It's a lot of fun and I got some great results from it. So I just wanted to share that with you. I like to do those things. Oh, look at this one, Jacob Williams. This here is of watercolor paints. I like that. I like it that you've come up with something a little different, a little more interesting. I like it when people challenge the challenge. I like it. I like the shallow depth of field that you've got on this. Focused right in here on the red. It's a nice, interesting, arty shot. I would have liked to have seen what you painted with in the background as opposed to just the mess of the paints. But it's a good shot, and I like the play on the challenge for sure. So nice work, Jacob. Okay, let's talk about this one. Miklos Meyer, so we've gone for reflections again. Few issues here is, for me, the colors are completely crazy. You couldn't really help that because you've got the blue and the pink and the orange and the yellow and the, I don't know, every color in the spectrum is in this photograph. So it looks a bit of a mess because of that. And also what you've actually got is, it is correctly exposed in the reflection and it is overexposed up here, or even it's sharp in the reflection. Oh, you've focused on the reflection. So if you're going to take a photograph of buildings in the reflection, you really want to focus on the buildings and let the reflection be secondary. Whereas here you've actually focused on the reflection and then the actual buildings are out of focus, which is a little bit awkward. And I just don't know that there's that much interest in why we're taking a photograph of those buildings, apart from there's a cool reflection. So a little bit more work on your composition, I think. Oh, whereas this one, okay, lots of crazy colors on this. This is in Geneva. It's a little overexposed, guys. So if I bring down my exposure, you can see that, in fact, only in the shop windows is it overexposed. You actually have more detail here than what you thought. So we can actually bring some detail back on this image, which I think is great. I love all the colors on this one. You see, this is crazy colors, but we've actually used it to our advantage here. I like it. I love the swirling of the water. We've got that because we're just over 3 seconds is the shutter speed. F4, you're nice and wide at 18 millimeters. I think this is really, really great. So I like it. I like this photograph a lot. And these swirls down here, the crazy colors and everything, you've done a really good job. Maybe a boat just pulled away. Either way, it's really good. So nice work on that. Let's go on to the next photograph. This is a little weird. Oh, hey, I think I'm on Instagram right now. Woo! And that was Rosie taking a photo for Instagram. So Oh, what is this photo? Is it, I get it. There's a cat, it's raining outside. The cat thinks that it can drink the water through the window. Is that what we're looking at? No. I think that's what we're looking at. So I get it. It's kind of fun. It's amusing. I think unfortunately, it's one of those photographs which is you gotta be there. It would have been very witty and funny to watch the cat trying to drink water through the glass. Rosie likes it because there's a cat in it. But I don't think it actually does anything as a photograph. I think it would be a great meme. Or meme. What do we say? Do we say meme or mem?
Meme.
We're all memes in this room. Some people call them memes. I don't like that. It's a meme. What would be the meme, the mem? What would be the words that went around this? Mondays would be this.
That game is actually really fun to play.
Oh,
Get the game.
meme,
What
memopoly. What did you meme? There's a game. It's called What Did You Meme?
If you haven't got it, you should go get it.
I haven't played it, but apparently it's hilarious.
It is.
Let's come up with memes for this one.
Send your memes to me.
Send your memes on the comments. Have we got anything? Okay, so this is cool. This is a surfer doing something cool with water, which is cool. I like the photograph. There's a few issues with. I actually like the light is reflecting off the surfer, which is cool. Problem is we don't know where the water's coming from or where the water's going to, which is the challenge with this. So if we were in front, if we were further around this side, we could get the sunset behind, which would have looked really great. Or maybe shut down the line of the waves a little bit more, because we've not got the end of the waves, which is a shame. But overall, I like it. And the challenge here is the focus is right here, whereas the action is behind. So really be careful on the focus with that. And what you should be doing for shoots like this is inside your camera, you should be able to move the focus point. So you want to move, spot focus is what you want to do, and go to the side and tap up there. And then you can always be focusing on where the action is taking place. Let's keep going. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. The light is actually coming down directly behind this building. We've got a very bright, cool looking red lighthouse building thing in the middle of the ocean, which you can only get to by boat. That would be terrifying in a storm. Overall, I like it. I feel like, though, the saturation, maybe you've boosted it a little bit too much, maybe the blues. The blues for me just look a little dark. The water looks a little moody. Oh, so if we come down to luminance, maybe if we just lift the ocean. So we're lifting the blues up a little bit. That's kind of worked, but we've lost a bit of texture in the sky with that. Okay, so as a photograph, I like it. I like it that you framed it smack bang in the middle. So I think it's a good photograph, actually. I don't have anything else to say, apart from it's good. What do we got here? A waterfall with a subject in the middle. Very... Okay, so the issue with this is, I don't know if the focus here is in the actual, what I'm looking at. Is it the subject, the person, or is it the waterfall? Something has to take priority. If two things take priority in an image, it becomes a bit, because I don't know where to look. You need to direct the viewer at something. And here you've directed the viewer at multiple things. So a little bit more, a way to do this would have got a nice shallow depth of field all the way down to the range on your lens of 3.5, got closer and tried to get that waterfall blurry in the background would have helped to bring some focus to your subject just there. Look at this. This is from Juan Pablo. You tune in every week. This is edit. So you've edited it twice maybe. Which maybe I can see, because what you've actually done here is, let's talk through a few things. I really like it. I really like the motion blur that we've got on the ocean here. I like the wave that's kind of sweeping in front here. These little dots down here from the edge of the waterline leads us straight down to where we're looking, which is the hole inside this wonderful rock formation. It's great. The challenge is this. You've come down here and you've reduced you've gone to noise reduction like this. You've added loads of noise reduction. How do I know that? Because when I look at the details, let me turn off what I just did there actually, so you can see what he sent in. What you've got is this rock looks flat, almost looks like it's been painted as opposed to be photographed. And that's because you've just done far too much noise reduction. And that's really when a photograph instantly, people think, oh, I don't want any noise in my image, so they get rid of all of it. But that actually works against your photograph because then it looks fake. Outside of that though, I like the sunset, I like the colors, I like the purple tone that you've got here showing that it's sunset. I like the composition. But I think that okay. So you see the bow? We've got a little bit of bow in the horizon. That's just because we needed to come down here and do your lens corrections. So let's see if we can actually do that. You see that? It flattened that out instantly, completely changes the way that that looks. So there you go. Nice work. Okay. Alex Lima. Unfortunately, this is a photograph of a little girl, a child with somebody, and there happens to be some water in the background. I don't think that it's about water. And Rosie thinks it's a little boy. Okay, we've got some product photography. Nice try here. Again, we've sharpened it and then we've noise reduced it. We've used flashes and we've dropped these items in the water. You've just got a flash coming from the side and lighting it, so it means that we've blown out this front one here, but we can't see any detail in this one here. So I like it as a photograph, but technically it's quite a lot of work that we need doing here. You'd want to light these things from behind through these so that we'd actually see the colors of them and see the branding without losing all of the highlights on the side. Outside of that though, you got your focus right, and it's a very great attempt and a first try at this type of product photography, which is very, very difficult to achieve. Ronald Earl, yeah, it's just a leaf that's fallen in a puddle. I don't think that it's that interesting, and shallow depth of field, which is fine, but it means that it's too much out of focus. I don't think that it's the most exciting subject, unfortunately. This here, okay, let's talk about this for a while. First of all, I don't think it's square. It looks weird to me. That's a little straighter now. The sun, a nice wide angle lens. I know that because the shape that the sun's making here is reflecting off the lens. I actually like the flare, but what we've got here is the white balance of the water is completely wrong. It's gone blue because it's in the shadows. But if we use color correction, if we use white balance on this, it's not going to help us out. So let's bring this back a little bit, like so. Now we're a little bit in the right tone that we want to be in. I think that we've blown this out too much, and I think that the greens in this image are far, far too bright. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull back my greens and go towards the yellows on this, like so, and my yellows I'm going to go towards the reds on this, and I'm actually going to bring back my saturation on my blues as well. Now we've got an image which is somewhat more interesting, a little bit warmer and pleasing to the eye. This is one of those sprinkler things that goes inside your pond to keep the water moving so it doesn't freeze. Yeah, the composition's not interesting. The editing is very flat. I don't think it's got any real dynamism. What's the word I'm trying to say? Dynamism. Dynamism. It's not got any dynamite to it. This is not a dynamite photo. Oh, look at this one. Okay, so we're zoomed in, we're nice and tight. The crop on this is great. We don't need to see where the water is coming from or going to because we are directly on the subject. Here we are nice and sharp on her face. I think this is a great example of action photography. Whoever this person is, you should be very proud of taking a photograph of this girl surfing How very exciting. Congratulations, Brian Spur. You get a PIC.
Dynamic range?
No. Dynamism. Dynamism. There's not that many N's in the word, but I'm trying. Okay, Chris Briggs. Whoa, this is a sunset. Whoa, is it warm? I think it's too warm, but I don't know. See, if I pull it back, it looks a little bit more natural. I think the problem is your vibrance. Oh, I don't know, it's kind of ruined. I don't know, it almost looks like a painting to me. It looks like a watercolor or something. Your focus is down here on these plants as opposed to the background, which, you know what, I kind of like. I just wish there was a subject in here. I wish there was something going on as opposed to just a sunset. For me, I get very bored of sunsets because they happen every day. There's a sunrise and sunset every day. So really, to take a great one, you've got to have something in it which makes it different. And this doesn't for me. Beautifully captured, wonderful sunset, but a bit nah. Keep going. It's a duck in a pond.
You love ducks.
I know, Rosie, and I just don't like photos of ducks in ponds. Ducks are everywhere all over the world, as are ponds. Yeah, it's a duck in a pond. Like, if you're going to take a picture of a duck in a pond, get lower, make it interesting. This isn't. So sorry. Whoa, look at this one. This is so funny. I don't know if this is completely set up or not. There's a few things with this that I want to talk about. First of all, great shot. Very exciting. I love this massive wave that's tumbling in. She's running away from it. I don't know if I believe that she's actually running away from it. But then there's a few other things. What's with all the dots on it? Like, what's this? What? Anybody know what this is?
Oh, what this is? The accent went well.
I don't know what that is. Outside of that, though, I think it's a really great, fun, interesting shot. The composition's great. The color's awesome. I love that we've basically left with blue and pink. Great. Absolutely fantastic. Jury Kristen. I just don't know what those dots were. Maybe you took it from Facebook or something and they trashed it. That's a shame. This is a water droplet on some fabric. Or Velcro. Yeah, again, it's a nice abstract piece. It's interesting for the water. You've managed to get the little sun flare here. I just wish that what was inside the bubble, so what the fabric was more interesting. It's just black fabric. What if it was on something way more dramatic and more interesting? Could be a little bit more interesting with it. But you've captured it, and I like the concept behind it. I just think that the water droplets needed to be on something more interesting. Rosie, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do actually.
We do. We have questions. Question time with Rosie.
Question.
Can I actually come?
Oh, I was posting something.
Yeah, question time, Rosie.
I can't say his name. Are ND filters worth investigating in, or are there any tricks so you can get away without them?
Okay, ND filters, what are they? Should you buy them? And are there any tricks to not use them? So first of all, let's talk about what an ND filter is. It is a neutral density film. Neutral density filter, meaning it's just a piece of glass with no color at all on it, and usually no gradient either. All it does is it cuts down the amount of light which goes into the sensor. Why would you want to cut down the amount of light when so many people nowadays are talking about how is your camera working in low light? Well, this is the opposite. How does your camera work in high light situations? If you are photographing outside, there is a massive amount of light coming into your camera. Now, what if you want to do a portrait and you want to get that really nice shallow depth of field? Well, you're going to want to shoot at f1.8. But if you're in pure daylight, you can't shoot f1.8 because your aperture is wide open, letting in way too much light, and now you're completely overexposed and blown out. So what do? You throw on an ND filter right in front of your lens. What that does is it cuts down the amount of light that is coming in, meaning that you can open the aperture even more and still get the correct exposure. That's what's key to ND filters, and it really is amazing. Are they worth investing in? Yes. Would I, if you're going to buy an ND filter, think of it this way. The only thing that you're going to capture is light, and that has to go through that filter. So invest in high quality filters. There's two that I would recommend. Lee filters, I would definitely recommend. They are fantastic. And Tiffin filters. Both of those make really great quality glass ND filters. Is there a way to get around it? No. There isn't, unless you invest in a camera which has a lower ISO. So that's what's key. If you have a camera that can get a really low ISO, I have the D850 and I can go down to ISO 32. So that means that it really makes it dark, so that means that I can open up my aperture more. That's one way around it. The other thing is that higher level of dynamic range that your camera has means you can save more details. If you are slightly overexposed, it's okay because you can bring those highlights back. But they're really hacks that aren't really doing what an ND filter does. I hope that helped. I don't know. That's all the information on ND filters. Let's come in here and let's look at this. Adam Watson. Okay, so this is a nice photograph, but I don't know that it's the world's most interesting photograph. It's of a bridge. It's a beautiful bridge. It looks like it's in England. Yeah. But this unfortunately is one of those things which is like, this is just not me, which is fine. So you've done a great job at capturing a bridge and the trees around it. But again, get down low, like shoot up under the bridge, shoot down the side of the bridge. Make it more interesting, like focus on the reflection, what happens at night. At the moment, it's just a bridge that I might walk past. So it's always about telling a story and elevating the subject to be something more incredible. Okay, so we've got a beach with black sand or rocks. We've got a wave which is just breaking, which is great timing. The problem you've got here is you've barely got horizon, you've barely got the foreground, and you've got no width. So we're just taking like a snapshot of a sliver of the ocean, and it's just not interesting enough. So a slower shutter speed could have been interesting, a wider lens could have been interesting. It's again one of those photographs that I just don't care about. And that's what you've got to think about with photography. Are you just capturing something because you were there? Well, that's great, but it's not really a photograph that is to be celebrated or shown to people. Always think about people viewing your images and what are they going to get out of it. Nice black and white photograph. Now these are, well, they're not ducks. These are seagulls on a river, lake, something. And I think it's more interesting than the duck photograph before. It's a wider shot, we're a little bit more interesting. Now what they've done is they've actually decided to cut out the horizon. If you're gonna do that, actually cut out the horizon, you've still left a few things in there. So I think it's interesting enough, but again, not dramatically interesting. I'd lift it all up a little bit as well. Let's keep on going though. Whoa, okay, great example for Michael Steinberg of using reflections to your advantage. Nice long shutter speed on this one, 25 seconds, f14. And it was on a slightly windier day up there in the clouds, because here we've got the clouds are moving across up there. And we also have a wonderful reflection down here, which has gone nice and blurry because we've managed to blur out the water. What would I do to this photograph? I think I'd make it black and white. I do. And then I think I would lift up the exposure of it and I'd bring down my blacks. This for me now, this looks great, but the blue took away from it. This now, I'm like, whoa, that looks cool. I love it a lot more. So remember, sometimes if color is influencing a photograph in a negative way, it doesn't bring anything, get rid of your color. There you go. That's good. Right. What's going on? I figured it out. I was taking a while to do this. This is a photograph of a reflection in a pond. If we turn this around, this is the actual way of the photograph. We have a bridge, we have a pond. Now the unfortunate thing here is we've essentially taken a photograph of a piece of plastic inside of stagnant lake. But what you did by flipping it upside down is actually make something very interesting, because I almost thought this was the sky with I don't know what was in it. So great work on taking a very simple, uninteresting photograph and making it way more interesting. This is Radu. So I like it for that form, but outside of that, it is a photograph of a plastic bag in a non-moving river. But great work for creativity. Whoa! This is what I'm talking about. Mikael Norsbeek. Don't know if that's how you say your name. Look at the motion in this water. We have nailed the timing. If you'd have gone any longer, this would have just looked like blankets, like silk, but we still have the definition of individual water streaks. We've definitely captured all of the light, and you may be you're not overexposed up here either. This is a fantastic shot. I would bring down the highlights. See how I just brought back the sky a little bit up there? And I think this is a wonderful example of taking photographs with water in it. Look at that photo. You're a little bit blue down here. A way to get around that is kind of what I did with the snow before. You can literally just come in, you can double click here, and you can just bring down your saturation and just paint it over the top here. And you can see what I've done. I'd do a far better job of that, but I'd get rid of all the colors in the water to make it pure white. Nice work, Mikael. I'm gonna pick you. Pick! Boo 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 you! Photograph across water. I said it's about having a story where it's coming through from or where it's going to. This here, the story is in the water because we don't have any edge of the water, so it's more of an abstract piece, and Dan Kelly has done a great job here to do that. We've got wonderful long streaks in the water, so we've captured the motion, but we've not ruined the water, just like the photograph before. Dan Kelly, I really think you've done a fantastic job here. Rosie's got a question.
Ed, do you find it interesting having or adding some noise to black and white photos?
Do I find it interesting? Yes, I do. I actually like adding, we wouldn't really add noise. You'd add a grain or a false grain to an image. You can do that inside Lightroom. So if we come here, back at this image that I was looking at earlier, if I come down here, there's this great grain tool at the bottom here, and you can add grain, and I actually do appreciate adding this. So if we zoom in, what we do here is we add that little bit of drama to the image. It also helps tie things together sometimes. Your size can make it a little larger, and you can make it really rough, which is kind of a cool thing to do. And now we've really added that texture to the image, which I really appreciate. So yes, I will add noise or grain to an image. Noise and grain are different. Grain is technically what would be created in the developing process when the chemicals mix together and they would create a grain and a certain look. It would also come audio. Oh, now we've got this back. We're just going to get that other camera back on. We have a battery down here. I'll grab it for you. Batteries on charge, always. Always batteries on charge. Ray, Kev, catch. Hup.
Well,
there we go. We are back. So we're going to use this other microphone for a moment. So, yes, I do use it. So what was I saying? Grain comes from when you had the type of paper and also mixing of chemicals together. That's what would create grain. Noise comes from the sensor or the speed of the film, being the ISO. There you go. So let's keep on jumping through here while we switch out the batteries. What do we got here? Oh, I missed a few. This one is a weir. Not dramatically interesting. I like the slow depth of the slow shutter speed here, which is nice and interesting. But it's too grey. It's not really black and white, and we've got this weird thing in the foreground which doesn't help. So that's what we really need to be looking at there. Let's go in here. Whoa, another very big sunset, lots of yellows, lots of colors. I mean, this is beautiful, and I actually think this has added interest because we've got these birds that are nice and blurry in front of the lens. So nice work, nice shot of the water. Autumnal shot just here. Unfortunately, we've got lots of the lake, but then we've just cut off the trees. So I kind of feel like I'm looking down at this in a really weird way. It's not really framed in the way that's particularly attractive. So got lower down to the water and angled your camera upwards. That would have meant that we have the lake still, and we'd had more of the sky on the top of the trees, which is what we're reflecting. We now have that camera back. Do we need to test it? Booyah, we are back. There we go. Thank you very much. Okay, a few things here. Laura Thompson. Okay, so a very dark image because we're shooting into the sun. A way to bring this back would be to lift the shadows up like so. I think you just made it way too hot. Now I can't really take it back because once you've sent it in, it's hard to get rid of the individual colors. I like it, but be careful of your horizon. Make sure it is actually straight if you're gonna do a photograph like this. Maybe wait till the sun had gone down behind the clouds a little bit more. Okay, we're gonna keep going through here. John Barnett, this is water on oil. Okay, so, or oil in water probably. I like this, I like all these colors that we've got coming into this. The challenge that you've got here is it's not in focus. So anything like this, if it's gonna be shot, if you're gonna be using, doing a close-up piece like this, which is abstract, it has to be sharp. That, unfortunately, is just not sharp enough. That, however, Kevin Stroscher, I think that's Strosch, I think that's the sh sound in German. This has energy. Look at the water droplets that have cast down here. The color of the ocean, I love this teal color down here. I think we may have added a fake bit of sun, or we've highlighted the sun. I think we've gone too far because we've blown the sun out, which is a shame. I think what you could maybe do to add to this is if you take the radial brush tool, made a nice big radius up here, and what we did, okay, was we took the dehaze tool and we add haze, like so. I just need to invert it. So what I've done there, by adding haze to the image up there, we've made it a little bit more like the sun feels a little bit more real as it's casting that kind of overexposed element over those rocks. Outside of that, this is edited wonderfully. I love the deep tones, the colors, and everything on this. Kevin, you've done a great job. Kid playing in front of the ocean. Yes, but again, not that much interest. I don't really know what she's doing. The sun's just out of frame and it's a very weird yellow. The sun, really, you'd want to take yellows and move it towards the oranges, because that's, and even the greens down here, this whole coloring on this piece doesn't look entirely warm. Doesn't look right to me. That looks a little bit better. It was a bit green before. This looks a little better, but we've overexposed the sky. And I want to get down closer and really give some focus on the subject here. That's what's going to be really important. Oh, she's picking it up because she's making a castle. Yeah, it's fine. I don't love it though, David. Oh, I like this play on water. Somebody drinking a water bottle. Now, what I like about this is it's a great silhouette, but what's happened is the water has added to the silhouette because we have the inverted reflection of the sunset behind, which for this photograph works wonderfully. I would just want to lift the whole exposure up a little bit like this and bring down, if I take the blues, the blue, and I bring down it a little bit, that's what I would do to that. It was a little dark before, I just bring it all back in there. Let's actually bring back that center bit. There you go. So I just brought some color back a little bit. That's what I would do anyway, but outside of that, it is a lot of fun and I like it. We have a few minutes left. I'm gonna do that thing that I like to do at the end. Have we been uploading them during the show? They haven't been coming in. Okay, what I'm gonna quickly do, just because we had a bit of a challenge today with this, I'm gonna take the ones that you guys have been uploading during the show, and you can actually see my screen. You can see how we do this. So I'm going to be dumping these in here, and we're going to be building this. Oh no, I did that wrong. I'm so sorry. There we go. I need to come back here. Okie dokie. Accepted. You're all accepted. And these will all drop into Lightroom, and then I'm going to do that thing at the end where I quickly whip through a load of the ones that uploaded during the show itself. They're all coming in. Let's quickly have a look at the vote from last week. What was this week?
Favorite PIC photo by any artist, 35%. Winter is at 65.
65%. Next week's theme is winter. Upload your best winter photo. Go out, it's still winter if you're in the northern hemisphere. Go and take some great wintry photographs. If you're in the southern hemisphere, go take some wintry photos from last year. If you're in Australia or whatever. It doesn't have to have snow.
Okay.
It's got to be wintry.
Just winter.
Just winter. Cold. Cold and wintry. Remember, you can still go and chat about the photograph that I uploaded to Instagram, which was all about water. We've got loads of Instagram stories going up. Right, we have all of these photographs uploaded into Lightroom that you guys have just been uploading during the show. I'm going to whip through all of these like I like to do at the end. Where did we get to a moment ago? It was the water bottle. Here we go. Not that interesting. It needs to have far more interest for something like this. I'm just going to do this at the end. I like this. This is water. This is a rock that's jumped in here. Now, this is interesting because there is... What?
Duck diving.
A duck diving. The title is duck diving. Therefore, it is... Well, what I was going to say, it can't be a rock because there's no upsplash. So this is my favorite type of photograph of ducks on lakes. Because you can't see it. It's very interesting. Kevin Mobley, I like this photograph a lot. Good work. This, whoa, look at that. This is a very busy river with all of this. I love the color tone on this. Knitting Jane, you tune in every week. You have nailed the editing on this. I'd just like to see a little bit more at the top of the frame here. So nice work. This, whoa, that is a crazy sunset. Unfortunately, it's so low quality that I can't comment on it. So try and upload higher resolution images. Tracy Mobley. I like this. I like the reflections, and it's blue. And I don't know that I hate it. I think I kind of like the color on this, which is rare for me because usually I'm like, black and white, make it black and white. But I think this is kind of interesting. You know, black and white, make it black and white. Yeah, okay, so we've lit this thing up in the water, but it's blocking the thing in the back, which is annoying me because I actually want to see what the building is, not what these bits of wood are. So yeah, I would Brenda Mooney, I would definitely look at your composition of something like this. Is this a rock?
Duck.
It's a duck. What is that? Something disappearing, or is it a rock with some? I don't know what it is. If it's a rock, you've got it's in focus, which is great. But outside of that, it's not particularly interesting of anything. Glass smashing. Well done, well captured. And the water's coming out of it. It's kind of interesting, this one. So nice work on that. Nice explosion. Oh, this looks very beautiful, this place. I kind of want to go and hang out here for the day. It looks beautiful. It's like the jungle somewhere. Beautiful water coming down here. I like the foreground, I like the background. And I've wanted a little bit more of a shallower depth of field just to add some focus interest because it's all just sharp at the moment. Oh, look at this guy. Here's spitting water out as he's getting out of the ocean. He looks like some athlete. Has he just done like maybe he was riding this inflatable toy across the ocean, and he's made it. He just came across.
Triathlon. It says it in the title.
Well, it's a triathlon, but why is there a floaty toy? Well, Vincent Boiry, I don't know if this is you, but whoever this gentleman is, congratulations for completing your triathlon.
Someone said next week's challenge should be a duck challenge.
No, we're never doing a duck challenge. I like this. It's pretty. I like that you're low to the water. I really like the texture of the water. I just don't think it's particularly interesting of anything. Give me a subject or something to be interested in. Red water. Abstract. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, let's look at this photograph here. This is kind of cool. This is all sorts of icicles. The only thing is here, I wish the icicles had the bottoms on them. They're a bit dome-shaped. I wish they were pointy, especially where this one is broken off. Outside of this, the reflections are good. Your exposure's good. It's kind of interesting. I like that photograph. You've done a fantastic job. Arthur Cornaga, great work. Let's keep on going. Sunset, again, quite an intense sunset. And I like the shallow, the long shutter speeds. We've got that nice blurry water. So nice work there. Here we go. Keep on keeping on. I have no idea. This is a photograph on its side of some... It's in a big white border. You've kind of taken away from... I'm more interested in the big white border than I am the photo. Yeah, I think the whites needed to be whiter here. Because I get it, but... you've got the explosion and the power, and I like the black and white, but I think that the whites needed to be a little bit whiter on this. Whoa, a rock landing. You've nailed your focus. You've really got the moment that it's happened with the streaks of the water. It's kind of cool. It's just a shame about the background. It's more of a technical example as opposed to a very interesting photo. Where's the water? No, you don't get that. You don't get it. Sorry, I just need to pull out from this. Phil. No, you don't get that. You don't get, there's water in a drink. No, not having it. Yeah, okay. It's a lake, some water, bit snapshotty. Oh, you've edited it. It's no better. You brought down the exposure of the sun, but now you've lost all your subjects. Boat in the ocean. I like the color grade on it. I wanted to see the horizon above it. I'm going to whip through now. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about this one. It's a bit out of focus and a bit weird with the editing. Oh, look at this. Great example of getting low to the water to create interest and excitement. That is very good. I think it's a little bit dark. We're on a boat. We're moving. It's a bit of a nothing photo. Thanks. Yeah, right. Oh, look at this. We have a girl in water. This is what? This is fantastic. I really like this, although she looks like she's wearing a sweater. Like, oh, it's going to be heavy when she gets out. I like the photo, though. I think it should be, yeah. Yeah, I like that. I think I like it, actually. Yeah, good work. I like the sunbeams, although they're fake. You've added a fake sunbeam in here, so at first look it's great, but then you can see the editing, which is a shame. Oh, another one of these when you flipped it for interest. I don't think it works for this one, personally. I think it's more interesting this way. But still, it's a little bit bland as an edit. Last few, here we go. Yeah. So he's laughing at me skipping. This is a nice photo. It is Venice. We're going to Venice. Yay, Venice! Woo woo! Yeah, I like it. You've overexposed the sky, which is a shame. Last few wall borders. Black and white. If it's going to be black and white, make it black and white. It's not that interesting. Oh, this is a nice story for where you've come from. You know, the boat moving. It's quite dark, unfortunately, but you're on a boat, so you couldn't have had a slower shutter speed on there. I like it. It's a little bit too hard, though. So you've nailed your slow shutter speed, but nothing's really in focus, unfortunately. And this is a nice, warm photograph from Talman Murphy. It's interesting, but I think it's just a little grey and washed out. And it's more about your signature than anything else, unfortunately. I think you've got two different signatures on one photograph. I kind of want to look at your photograph, not your signatures. Okay, that is the end of PIC Live for February the whatever day it is. This week was water. Next week is winter. Remember, the link is going to be live on photosincolor.com/live on Monday. That's when you can upload your photographs, so get doing that. Before we end the show, we have a video that went up last week, because when I shot the commercial for Blue Man Group, it looks like this.
And then we're ready to shoot this thing.
Quiet on set. Here we go, one take. Okay, so that there is a little tiny bit of a snippet, but there's a whole video where I show you how I shot this, the equipment that I used, and also saying, like, guys, you don't need to own expensive equipment. That was shot on DSLRs. Head over to photosincolor.com to check out that video. This is the end of PIC Live. Thank you so much for watching. Rosie, you're awesome. Ray, you're awesome. Kev, you're awesome. My name's Ed Gregory for photosincolor.com. The end.
Okay, we're at sunset. That was just 2 takes.